Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions, episode 375. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez,
Things that make you go,
Chris Seeley,
Hey, what's up, everyone?
Carlos Romero,
Yo.
Adam Vale,
How you doing?
and Brett Murdoch. Uh-oh.
Hey, what's up, people?
What
up? My shit ain't muted. I don't know what the technical difficulties.
Technical, yeah. By the way, speaking about technical difficulty, I think that's what's going on. This is daylight savings time, so Brian, he's gonna be late. Because it's England, it's like all fucked up right now.
Well, they officially don't do it over there.
They do. They're going to do it
parts.
next week, I believe.
Oh, they do.
Because right now they're 4 hours ahead of us, but then in a couple weeks they're going to be 5 hours ahead, like usual. Mm-hmm. You pitting your cat, Manny?
Yeah, he's hanging out here being a silly.
It's Arizona and Hawaii that don't do it.
Yeah, they don't. They're like, fuck that. Good for them. Good for them.
Yeah.
We should start doing that. The whole world should start doing that. Fuck those farmers.
That's an argument since the inception of the whole process. People are like, why?
Yeah, it's stupid. But Throwdown's here, regardless.
We here.
we here. All right, man. So let's get into it. We got questions. Elden Ring. Manny, that's the featured image again because we got a lot of Elden Ring questions.
Oh, okay. Well,
I just don't get it.
Manny, scroll the PlayStation chat. We got a lot of pictures we've been throwing up.
Oh, you sending me photos? You sending me things? You're not sending me anything Horizon Zero Dawn related?
No, don't let the ponies know about that on Twitter. But yeah, no one's talking about that game anymore. It's all about the Elden Ring.
I swear, man, like Elden Ring has become like at the level of like a Call of Duty. It literally just takes over the narrative of all gaming space, right?
Yeah, no, it really has. And that's actually the first question we have here from one subset. It is he goes I swore I'd never play another Souls game after 45 minutes of Dark Souls, but here I am playing Elden Ring. What is it about Elden Ring that has the gaming community by the wallet? Or in other words, what has captivated why has the gaming industry been so captivated by this game?
Well, I think it's a lot of different things. I think part of it is the positive reviews that a lot of it gets, and I also think that the fan base is also very very adamant about talking about a lot of it, right?
Yeah, very energized.
And then I think also on the other side of it, it's very friendly to sort of streaming, where you die in some crazy ass way and you go I get all it's and then there's the participation part of it where you can have multiple players playing at the same time, so it sort of serves a lot of things, and then it also serves the other part of it where the difficulty spikes, where people who want to be able to play games that are not holding your hand all the damn time can also sort of commune. And also you have that sort of thing from sort of when we grew up we were kids, where like, oh, hey, you heard about this thing you could do in the game,
word of mouth, yeah.
The word of mouth, like even just talking to people between each other, like I know even our little personal chat is something like that. Oh, you see this? Oh, you see that? Oh, you see this? So I think it's a lot of different things that get people talking. Even the plot of the game sort of gets you to talk, because it doesn't give you a fully straight answer as to what the game is and what you're doing in the spaces. And you can go deep, you can read all the lore, you can go as deep as that, or you can just look at it from a sort of a gameplay standpoint and just be like, all right, we're just gonna see what things I can find, what things I can fight. It's a lot.
Yeah. I think the other big factor is the fact that it's the best-selling game of the year right now. As a matter of fact, I think they said it's like one of the best-selling games of the last year, period, if we take 12 months into account. So, obviously that and the high review scores is going to generate attention. So people are going to be like, because there's a subset of gamers that are like, oh, game's a 90 and 98, I got to buy it. Oh, it's a best-selling game, I got to buy it. But obviously, some of these people are kind of, having some buyer's remorse when they get their ass kicked because, like, contrary to some people may say, this is not a friendly Souls experience. It is just as fucking brutal as any of those other games. Only difference is it's just open world. There's a question similar to this, but I'm like, yeah, there's no, I mean, obviously aside from the open world, it's a Dark Souls game. It is just as brutal. It is not welcoming. It still has those quirks and stuff, but just the fact that it's sold so much and it's gotten such high reviews, that's getting it attention. Then, like you said, obviously the community's jumping in there, throwing in their clips, and the game's just memeable as fuck because it's weird. It is a weird game.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is.
I was going to say,
fuck. Yeah,
the game is mimetic by nature and by design, man. Like that's kind of the thing is a lot of that is intentional. It's very surgically and precise, intentional. They're making things obfuscated in an effort to get people to kind of work together with things and share like, oh, I found this sword, blah 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 blah, and because of the kind of like repeated nature of the runs, like you've been in that situation before. I want to see what this guy does, or I want to watch this guy's reaction. There's like 5 different layers of things that you want to see and then want to immediately share. And that's kind of been a thing through a lot of the Souls games, but especially this one because of the open world nature.
Yeah. And obviously, the other thing we got to bring into account is like these games have been gaining popularity every single release, right? And the last game that came out, Sekiro, that is the probably won't be for long, but it is the biggest selling game of the franchise. It has so many fans now, and it just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming. The days of these games being niche, they're gone. They're absolutely gone. Like, this is a big selling AAA experience. Again, remember, Sekiro won Game of the Year at Jeff Keighley's show. Don't be surprised if this one wins.
I mean, okay, to put in perspective, I'm not being hyperbolic here. It is not once, but possibly twice over now a genre-defining game. It has already built its own genre, and then after it built its perfect little castle, it looked at open world games and went, "Hey, do you want some help with that?" And went over and started fucking with open world games, and like honestly, to a great amount of success, according to a lot of people. And you might see this, if this does influence other games, which I kind of have a feeling, I'm pretty sure it will. Then it's hit that point twice. It's tough to influence a market once. To do it twice is kind of amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. What effects it has, because obviously the game hasn't even been out a month yet. But I think in the years to come, we're definitely going to see it. We have a question related to that. But yeah, what about the rest of you guys? Why do you think this game has captivated the gaming community so much? Chris, you go ahead.
I think that the pedigree has grown over the years. Souls, like Brett said, has become such a staple in gaming, where games were trending towards easier and easier, and then all of a sudden this game comes along and throws that all out the window. Like, the difficulty was high. You had to really think about every move you made. You had a character sheet, sort of like D&D, and you could build your character. You could have a dex, faith, or intelligence, magic, and all this stuff. And ever since then, it's been building up. All the Dark Souls sequels, and then Bloodborne and Sekiro, and then so it's been building up in popularity. Other games have been compared to it. Other games have tried to copy it. Most have failed. And then from Bloodborne and Sekiro, and the polish that they gave Dark Souls 3, they took all of that and put it into an open world and made this game. So I think that has helped it tremendously. It's it's a wonderful game, having multiplayer co-op and the challenge of having PvP with invaders and stuff. That's great also. So all the things that made those games good and attracted people to it in the first place, excuse me, and all the themes from the other games, the best pieces they took and merged it into this game. And I think it's a fantastic experience, and that's helped it a lot.
So, Chris, you got to chill with the spicy stuff before the show, man.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, I got curious.
You're good. No, yo, Chris, remember yesterday we were playing? How many fucking invaders didn't we kill, man? God damn. It was,
Oh yeah.
Invaders.
yeah. It like that's how you know these, a game, a Dark Souls, because and Brett, this in the beginning, everybody plays nice with the Dark Souls game, we're cool, and then about week 2, that's when the invasions start happening.
Right, like, dude, like we were playing with a buddy of Chris's, and he's like, "Where's all my invasions? Like, I'm not getting invaded, and I'm very upset about it." And I was like, "Dude, like, people haven't found the infinite invasion item yet. As soon as they do, that dam is gonna burst. Just you wait." Like, yeah, right around the beginning of week 2, all of a sudden it was like, "Dude, I can't get through Lucaria without being invaded 9 times at least." And I say that loving every minute of it. Like, Chris has seen it before. Like, I get weirdly bloodthirsty with invaders. It's like, you've been invaded. I'm like, yes. It's Stockholm syndrome. I've just learned to embrace the pain.
Yeah, no, it's just interesting because, like, again, every time I'm like online, it's with you guys. So when an invader comes, I feel sorry. I'm like, oh, these motherfuckers are about to get wrecked right now, and they always do. They always do. It's beautiful. It's great. A lot of fun. Those invasions alone, man, could be a lot for some people. Carlos, what about you, man? Because you're really going deep into this game, more so than any other Dark Souls game. So what is it about it that you think has captivated the gaming community?
I just feel like it's the hype.
Hype is for sure. Yeah.
It got, they crowned this game before it even came out. So, saying 97, like, we got into hyperbole speak. From the reviewers saying this is the greatest game ever made. This is the best game since Breath of the Wild, and it's bound to generate a lot of intrigue, and it delivered in a lot of those ways. And this is definitely a great game. So the fact that it's not only like talking the talk, I know the reviewers are the ones talking, but it's also doing the walk, and it's an experience that's a lot more. I feel like this is more accessible than the Souls games, at least for me. The Souls games just feel like claustrophobic like messes to me. This one, I just feel like there's just more room to breathe. Like when you're in a more realized world. But
I think that's why they did open world, Carlos. Like, I think that a lot of people are like, "Oh, they're just jumping on the open world bandwagon." I think open world was the solution to making the game more accessible without lowering the difficulty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, it's the Dark Souls games. A lot of people love them, so I'm not gonna say that they weren't hugely popular, but they were just dungeon crawlers. That's all they were, and this is I feel it adds a new dimension to the game. And someone asked a question similar about this type of thing, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I feel it hit the perfect storm of the series got refreshed and given a new dimension, new life. The fact that it got so many perfect review scores. Everyone was talking about it. Your favorite influencer was talking about it. Greg Miller was talking about it. Everyone was talking about this game, and all of them. And the fact that it's we're still living we live in a society. We live in a gaming society where I feel like people are hungry for that big hitter. And I feel like we haven't gotten that many big hitters in the last decade or so. And this is definitely one that is definitely accessible on all ends for the most part. You're always going to get those people that are complaining about the difficulty, but slowly but surely a lot of those voices are dissipating. Or if you're some other type of person, you'll just cheat your way through. But
shit.
What did the 5 fingers say to the face?
Oh man.
But yeah, it's really I feel like this is a perfect storm, an amalgamation of so many different factors that's led to this being a mega hit as opposed to just a hit.
Yeah, I got to see those numbers, man. But yes, apparently huge.
It's huge. Oh yeah, and I mean the engagement is there. It's been there,
It don't
and
stop.
I guarantee you, a lot of us that are playing the game, we go to YouTube, we look up, how do you get this armor? How do you get this staff? How do you get this sword? You search any of those videos, any of them, the tutorials, all of that stuff, the tips and tricks, all of them's got hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of views.
Yep.
All of them. You can be an Elden Ring YouTuber. Start right now, and you'll get fucking hits.
No, you're right. This is the time, you know.
It is, dude. I think that's the other thing is like, man, it generates the clicks, and if it generates the clicks, it's something people are going to talk about. It's just the raw interest in the game, whether it's good, bad, angry about inaccessibility, absolutely loving it. Like, it's just taken over the talk of everything. I mean, this show included, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, think about it. The first half of this show is probably going to be Elden Ring, and I think the last 2 episodes were that too. Like, this game is Manny, you're right. This is like the old Call of Duty days. You know, when that shit dropped, when Modern Warfare dropped, that's it. Nobody was talking about nothing else for months. You know,
nobody's been able to unite the clan in many moons.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's also like it sort of hits a lot of different bases. And then again, like you have the ability to help out players that are not doing well. Yes, the game is obviously not, if you're not used to that sort of environment, yeah, it can be pretty hefty. But I think in general that here's the thing. Going at bashing your head against the wall alone sucks. But if you're doing it with a couple of your buddies, it's a lot less brutal, I would say.
Yeah. I mean, that's always been the lure of the series, right? Jolly cooperation and all that. You know?
Exactly. And this is the same for any sort of like a lot of, especially, cooperative multiplayer. But then again, you have this idea of like now, obviously where they have the other part of it where somebody can kind of fuck your shit up if you decide to open the door, right?
Yeah, right. That's always been part of it too. Again, we'll get more to it. It's just interesting how it's basically the same. The baseline is the same game, but just making open world makes a whole difference. It's interesting.
And then I mean, like I feel like again, it's in general, it's sort of the next eventual evolution of what FromSoftware is doing.
Yeah.
How do you perfect what they've already sort of perfected multiple times, or what we thought was a perfection at the previous iterations, right? People have just recently, from the PlayStation 5 have gone back and played essentially the beginning of it all. And now seeing that idea sort of evolve into a whole world. If you let's say you took the idea, you took all of Bloodborne, you took all of the Souls games and Sekiro and put them all together into one thing, into one big open world.
Yeah. No, I mean that's what this game is. It's basically the greatest hits. Yeah. There's probably some Kingsfield stuff in there that we don't recognize if you haven't played those games.
I mean, Chris has been saying that he's been going after the Moonlight Sword. That's Kingsfield right there.
So there you go. Yeah, it's like their best of album.
Yeah, and it's a lot of the parts that worked, a lot of the things that people enjoyed, and as well as sort of even polishing it a little bit more. Now the next question is, what does the next Souls-ish game look like?
Oh, that's a question for later. You know. Oh, so we put a pin on that because we do have a question coming up. All right, I want to move on to the next question. We're going to be on Elden Ring for a little bit.
Elden Ring.
Okay, so this one is from Mob Hits. Has Elden Ring brought a breath of fresh air into gaming, and has it been something different for you guys? Throwdown. This is a bit. Actually, you know what, Brett? You go first.
Oh, okay. I mean, the short answer is probably yes. It's a different approach to storytelling and world building. It's one of the very few games that's confident enough to let you not find things. It's confident enough in its content to make you honestly work for a little bit of it. It's everything that Assassin's Creed isn't. I'm just gonna fucking say it straight out.
Whoa! Shots fired.
Yeah, everybody is sick of Ragnarok. Everybody is fucking sick of it. There's like 3 people out there who are like, hey, that's not me. The rest of the world, fucking sick of it. And it's not just the game, but the type of game. Like, the fatigue has gotten to the point where it's now it's created a fucking pearl, right? Like it's just layer upon layer upon layer of fatigue, finally coming to culmination. And honestly, a kind of anger at the status quo that I haven't seen in a long time. Like I haven't seen people so pissy about just the same. And so
The new one, this expansion, you do magic, you're a necromancer. They went off the deep end. You're a god. You're Odin.
all
So
right,
you're
all
none.
right.
So yeah, they changed it at least for this one.
Yeah, but that's
I
just
mean,
that's just an extension of what's going on in Valhalla. Remember those
Yeah.
Odin missions?
It's a standalone expansion. There's really no reason why it's linked to it. It's sort of like what happened with Division and Warlords, where you have your own stat system and you could have your own character.
Yeah.
It's one
No,
of
there's
those.
a reason though. Remember in Valhalla there are Odin missions. This is just an extension of that.
But this
you know?
this is separate. This is his own mission. That's what
Now let me ask you though:
Yeah.
do they do it in a different way, or is it the same?
It's different. It's a different world. You're
No,
in
not
Valhalla.
a different world. Not even.
It's the same mechanics,
are
Brett.
there
It's the
fucking-
same shit. It's
Are
the
there
same
fucking?
shit.
Is the UI cluttered with unnecessary bullshit? Do they tell the story by jamming it down your throat repeatedly until you're
it's
just
smaller.
fucking sick of it?
It's
Are there
definitely
map
smaller.
icons everywhere?
Nah, not for this. It's smaller. It doesn't have all that content. It's
No,
just
that's
like a
not-
standalone.
Yeah, but it's not
No,
get sidetracked. We'll just stick to Elden
Yeah,
Ring
okay.
for now. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's kind of my point, though. Like, Elden Ring is doing a thing. Yes, it's open world, but it's also, I don't know how to say it, it's a different kind of open world, and it really brings into focus the whole Breath of the Wild thing. Because I think, what Breath of the Wild did really well was it drew people in through environments, right? Like it made this area kind of look enticing, so you were naturally drawn to it. There's a thing off in the distance that you're naturally going to want to find, and oh, there's something cool there. So, the way it leads players around kind of reminded me a lot of as I was learning about comic books and visual flow. I mean, I always knew about visual flow in tattoos because it's important to wrap it back in on itself. But when you're doing something like drawing a comic, Manny can tell you way more than me about this, but you try to pull the eye from one panel to another through the art itself. And I always thought that was a really cool thing. It's a very subtle thing that artists do, and it basically started because people didn't want your eye to flip off, slide off their canvas onto the person next to theirs and not buy their painting. They wanted you to buy their painting, so they tried to, wrench the eye back into it. And it's a very cool school of thought, and it's incredibly successful. But it's not really used very much because, again, I think a lot of developers, the best I've heard it is, they're not confident enough to let the player miss anything, and that's a little bit of a problem.
I mean, I think in general, yes, I think a lot of times, but I think that also sort of comes from a generation of people who were sort of sick of the other end of it, where they're playing a game and they did miss something. All of the lightning of of games happened because people from our generation and before earlier were literally subjected to these games that are essentially gassing you for money.
So you're saying it's the same? I mean, and I wouldn't disagree with you. You're saying it's an overcorrection.
And now it's like an overcorrection. It's like, in other words, it's like they wanted to address the things that frustrated them when they were younger. So now we have had a full generation of people who are frustrated with those type of ideas early on, and then now it's coming back again to another generation. You know what I mean? So
these things do seem to be cyclical, and I would agree that it's
like,
an overcorrection. But
yeah, it's like, again, like to go back to the original Zelda. The original Zelda didn't overtly tell you the story. It literally told you the beginning, where you were, and what the ending was, where you were going. And even Elden Ring has that beginning and an end. What you do in between that time is the big question mark. What you find and what makes your journey a lot easier is on you. You could go, and that's this whole sort of, what is it like? You can go as deep as you can go deep. You can fall in deep and get into all the lore. You can figure out what all of these things, this symbology is, or you can just look at it at a discovery standpoint, like, oh, hey, this thing does this for me. Oh, hey, this thing does this for me.
yeah, well, dude, even if you check the internet, like I realized the other day that, and I'm kind of sad that it took me this long to really crystallize the thought, but what it does is, in a very meta way, puts the player through the hero's journey in a very real sense, right? Like, we're used to playing a video game where, like, so I go into the video game and there's a cutscene and there's a big bad that throws me down and burns down my family's house, and now I'm on a mission to, like, find a sacred ancestral sword because, they everybody in town keeps telling me about it. So, and I can only go this way, so I'm doing this thing, and hopefully when you get the ancestral sword, you take down the big bad, and the story, blah de blah. Okay, what this story does, or what this game has done, at least in my experience, is I do all these things. I go out, I meet the tree sentinel. I'm like, hi, and he caves my face in, right? So there's your initial kind of meeting and conflict. And I walk away bruised, being like, I'm gonna go fucking drink my milk and come back big and strong and kick the ever living shit out of you, right? So there's my conflict. Well, how do I do it? Well, Manny or Tony or somebody here tells me about this really cool sword that they saw on a video or online or something like that. But that is technically the kind of equivalent of sitting in a pub and somebody in the pub being like, hey man, I hear there's a magic sword up in the mountains that might help. And the hero goes, well, I need that magic sword. And they set off on an adventure to try and find it from, the vague directions that other people have kind of mentioned. Or, they can track it down if they want to, but a lot of people like playing blind with the whole, hearsay and rumors and kind of thing. So, like, you hear about it and you kind of know it's up north, and you fight your way through an army of skeletons to find, like, a fucking crypt, and you go down to the crypt and you're like, it has to be in here, and you fight a big boss and you're rewarded with the sword, and you go back and you kick the ever-loving shit out of that tree sentinel. And it feels good because you've completed the hero's journey. You found that conflict, you set out a story, that story evolved and opened for you, and then you came back and resolved it. All in a very, very organic way, but also in a very orchestrated way. Like, every bit of that is an intended experience. But it's done so subtly that you just don't fucking notice. And I think that's awesome.
They're sort of leaving it to the player to figure out what they want, how far they want to go. And I mean, again, like in life, you can stay on the path that you always take every single day. It's the safest path. It's the path that you know. Or you can search around and start asking about people and learning about the area that you're in. And
Dude, there's go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I can't tell you how many times there's been life lessons in the game. Like, we keep talking about it. We just had one. There is no obstacle in life that you can't surmount with a big fuck off metal spike. Right, and that applies to all areas of life, I feel like.
But I think the better analogy is, Brett, remember when you helped me get the glintstone key?
Yeah.
Like, we questioned the swamp, you're like, that dragon's sitting on it. So I'm going to lure him away and get the key, right? I did that for Tony the other day. I'm like, Brett showed me where this key is. We're going to go get that key. Because the thing is, the game gives you this torn piece of paper with a vague map, and it's like, I found the glintstone key, and I'm like, I don't know where this is. So you help me. You're like, oh, it's over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then that's how we pass it along,
Yeah, it's just an organic experience, but it unfolds in, like, we always watch these things happen to a character and kind of vicariously live through the character. But one of my favorite things about, like, these kinds of games, especially now that it's open world, is this doesn't happen to the character, this happens to the player. And that's really what we want. That's the experience that we're going for.
Because I haven't played it, but your description just sounds like a general open world, like The Witcher, same thing. It's like, oh, well, I'm looking for a certain weapon. I was like, oh, well,
yeah, but
if you go to this side mission all the way on the other side of town, it's a long trip, but there is a mission that you complete, a side mission, and you'll get whatever you need.
Yeah, but the difference is, in The Witcher, you're playing Geralt going into a town, and then a cutscene happens that tells you what you're interested in and what you're going to do, and then an NPC feeds you information about exactly where Geralt's going, and you follow the map marker to get there.
There's no main mission in this game. Is that what you're saying? There's no main mission.
There is a main mission in the game, and it always every part, there are these things that the guiding light or whatever leads you down the path. So in other words, you can follow the guiding light and go straight, hammer straight through, but it is to your benefit if you go off the beaten path and look around a little bit more, because maybe that you'll find things that'll make your journey to the end game a lot easier.
Also, there
I
seems
mean,
to be
and like something like The Witcher. Witcher will give you, we'll do this sort of thing. Like they'll have all these different missions and all this stuff, but you can literally pull open your big old map, and once you've gotten to an area, like how Assassin's Creed likes to do it, you go up on the top of the thing, and it literally fills up your map with stuff. But you could theoretically play Assassin's Creed without any of doing any of that, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it's
you
still,
can just go to the story.
you can still turn all of that sort of stuff off. But I think Assassin's Creed is definitely guiding you more directly down a path, whereas Elden Ring, it has a path that you can follow and you can get back onto that path any point in time, but it's not fun. It's not trying to funnel you through the thing. And you'll find that, at least from what I've seen in Elden Ring, is that there's everything, even the places that are, that every place in there seems to be, curated. Like there isn't really a boring area. Like even if it's not plot related, you go to this one area on the side and you find this giant super bear. Nobody told you about that thing, but it's there. Or these giant walking castle things that I saw in one video. Or like, I'm like, okay, now what these giant walking castle things? What is the deal with these things? What happens if you got into the castle that's on top of them?
I could answer that, but yeah. I just did that tonight, by the way, which is cool.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brett, for helping me out with that.
I heard Chris was, because I talked about them earlier, and
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? I was asking you guys, like, what the hell is that?
Yeah,
thing?
I call it a giant turtle because that's what it looks like to me. Giant turtle with a castle on its back. It's part of the promotional things and even some of the load things.
Like Time Bandits, where you're on a ship and your ship is the hat of a big giant.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of interesting.
That's a deep cut right there, Adam.
It is, yeah.
Like
Motherfuckers don't know about no Time Bandits. But yeah, the reason I kind of just went last because, and again, and I hate I have to preface it, I love Elden Ring. I think the game is great. To me,
I'm gonna agree with Tony. I know I'm gonna agree with Tony. I know what he's gonna say.
it's nothing refreshing about it. It's
Yeah,
a Dark
I was
Souls
about to
game
say
in
the
open
same
world. It's the same shit. We've seen open worlds like this. I hate to say it, Breath of the Wild, where it's just like, here, just go what you want. And a Dark Souls game, like to me, when I'm playing this, I'm like, oh, this is the same shit I've always played. There is no difference. The only difference is it's open world. So again, I know that's a more cynical take, and I'm not saying that as an insult. Wait, let me finish. I'm not saying that's an insult because it does it very well. I've always said this. I don't care about innovation. I don't care about revolution. Give me something that works well. This does it very well. But I've been here before, so there's not a breath of fresh air in this to me.
The only thing refreshing about this game is that it delivers on everything that it promises.
Yeah, it doesn't disappoint, and that's refreshing.
There's no disappointment. It's a fucking great game.
Yeah,
it doesn't give you now. I wonder.
Isn't that sad that's the only thing that's refreshing about this game, that it isn't disappointing, that it isn't
hold
broken.
on, Tony.
Well,
hold on. There are things about it. Like I'll admit, it's not reinventing the wheel. It's making a new kind of wheel, though. Like the way that the areas. Well, yeah. I mean, the way that the areas are, like, Breath of the Wild was great. It directed you through the environment in a fantastic way. But like most games, it was kind of barren. It wasn't like a dense, rich tapestry. And I know we've talked about on the show before. Like, I don't mind if an open world is big or small. What I want is there to be a lot of shit in it. And this game kind of delivers in that aspect. So it's kind of like the difference between like yes, would you say New York pizza is just better than other pizza, or it's kind of its own thing?
No, it's better.
It's better. And it's also its own thing because of the water. So
the water is very important,
But no, that's kind of what I
But
say.
this is also why like Jersey pizza is good too, because they can use the same water, and it's a bunch of New Yorkers in there.
There's games like Cyberpunk, like The Witcher, like Assassin's Creed, like GTA, that are densely, and Red Dead Redemption 2, they're densely, populated.
We played dense games before, yeah.
But they don't, obviously they don't do the whole thing that's like more of a sandbox, non-curated experience. But this just does a really good job at putting both in together. And I feel, actually, people like to make Breath of the Wild comparisons. Honestly, the vibes that I get from this game more than anything, obviously than Souls games, because it's a fucking Souls game, is fucking Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh, I just feel, especially with that fucking walking turtle shit. Dude, I was on a horse. This thing's walking around. What do you think popped into my head? I'm like, that's motherfucking Shadow of the Colossus right there,
those are the vibes that I get more than anything, because Shadow of the
agreed.
Colossus is the epitome of a game that you just fucking ride your horse to find stuff.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
and it's and I really enjoy that aspect. And obviously in its core it's a Souls game. You know, you're still going to do some dungeons, you're still going to have your castles, you're still going to have all that stuff and your boss fights. But just the overarching, you know, map and everything you can do is just, it's just does it really, you know, really great. And
Yeah.
it's, you know, and I'm like Tony, I'm with Tony. It's this is probably one of the best games I've played in the last decade.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Bar none.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you know, I'm going to keep playing this because, and I told this to Riku, this is during my early journey of Elden Ring. He's like, would you consider this your game of the year? And I said, no, I don't give games of the year to games that don't have a story. This does, but it's too, you know, it's, you have to look for it. Like, I like my cinematic stories, right? But I'm playing this, I'm like, I may have to change my stance here, because this is hitting all the check boxes, you know, as terms of gameplay. Obviously, I'm the guy, gameplay is just one portion of games. I need more than that, but that alone is so well done. Like I said this, I was just thinking this the other day, I'm playing this game, I'm like, this is a beautiful game. And I'm not just talking about graphics, I'm talking about design, intent, you know, I'm like, this is fucking art, man. So this game may be my game of the year the longer I play it, you know, but with that said, this shit is not a breath of fresh air. It's everything I've seen a million times, just done very, very well. And that's not an insult. It's just not something new, you know. But but again, I'm a fucking reviewer, so I just look at things like it just, you know, the nuts and bolts of it. So maybe that's why. But then again, Carlos agrees with me, so maybe I'm not tripping, you know.
I think the one thing is, like, I think the one thing about it, just like a lot of different things, it's the next sort of step, the next eventual step of what a Souls game can be. That, you know, it's taking into consideration all of the most of the things that have happened in the past, things that are familiar, things, and adding things that are new. I mean, you know, you could say that a lot about a lot of the open worldish games, but you could say that this game, out of all of them, is the most sandboxy of all open world games at this point in time.
Yeah,
Because
I think it's safe to say this is the best FromSoftware game ever. I think that's safe to say at this point.
Because one thing about like one thing about the idea of sandboxes is that they're not, a lot of sandboxes have essentially metamorphosized into essentially guided play, you know, and that's the big difference, you know. At least with this one, they're trying to remove as much as possible, just like what their normal games would do. Like, in other words, they don't, again, the Souls games in general don't always point you to the direction of the thing that you need to go to, or everything that you need to do. And now, what if you took that same idea and expanded that into a full-on world, as opposed to, you know, levels?
Let me ask real quick, Tony.
Yeah.
Why does something have to be revolutionary to be a breath of fresh air?
Because they kind of go hand in hand.
No, they don't.
Well, now, okay, let me rephrase that, because I fell into your trap and I'm not going to do it. Yeah, I fell in trap and I'm not going to do it. No, basically, to me, a breath of fresh air means like, oh, I've never seen this before. This is different. This is new. You know, so
I think it just means anything out of the ordinary. Like to me,
but
I say it's a breath of fresh air.
But again, this is not out of the ordinary. It's a Souls game in an open world environment. That's it. You know.
No, okay. You misunderstand what I'm saying though. Like, if somebody's nice to you, and then you go somewhere and everybody's just a dick for like 10 months, and then someone's nice to you again, that's kind of a breath of fresh air. It's a welcome change from what you've been experiencing. And to me, that's at least where I take it.
Okay,
and
I understand where you're coming from. By the way, I knew 1 hour in. It happens every fucking year. 1 hour in, there's Brian.
There he is.
Daylight savings time. No, Brad, I see what you're saying. But again, to me, I'm like, see, this is the way I would say it again. I may be too cynical about it. I'm like, oh, a nice person. Yeah, I've seen those before. You know, that's how I would take it, you know?
But
this game is not doing any. Again, the only thing it's doing is just being very well. Because remember, even though I appreciate what this game's doing with the no icons and shit, I still like icons. I still like that shit.
And that's fine. Like, to me, though, it's not a no icons thing. It's a fundamental difference in design choice of I don't even know how to put it. It's fuck, I lost it.
It's all right.
I was trying to get there.
almost. But we got more questions about Elden Ring.
No,
Maybe it'll come up. It'll come up. You never know. And if it does, Brett, jump on that shit. Anyway, Brian, what's up, man?
Nothing much. You?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Just giving you a couple minutes to rant about farmers.
Usual stuff. These farmers, man. Like I will never get the right timing down. Man, no matter how many years it is, I'll always get the wrong days. It's like, okay, cool. It's next week. I'll be good. I'll be good. And then I turn on and it's like, wait, how are you guys still talking? Like, oh god damn it, farmers again.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. By the way, just some insider stuff, because half my team at Tom's Guide are British, right? So we had to schedule some stuff. So we're trying to figure out, okay, when is this going to go live when we schedule it? It's fucking insane. All right, man, let's move on. We got more Elden Ring questions tonight.
Elden Ring.
Oh, hold on. I got the wrong question up, but this one, what's up?
So it's funny. So like, okay, you remember how when a bunch of games started calling themselves Souls?
Yeah.
So does that mean that now we're gonna start hearing more Ring names?
Maybe.
Oh yeah, probably. Especially since it's got monetary acclaim. With sales, it's gonna influence.
So you guys go. I keep hearing all this. It's got the best of all the different ones. Does it introduce anything new besides putting the best of? Like, it's like, all right, here's the best.
No, it's not.
It's not. Because go ahead.
Choice cuts in an open world. Like Tony said, this is not anything we haven't seen before. They just took all that stuff and put it in a big open world map.
Because I thought that this actually had real co-op play, but then I'm hearing that it's only per mission, and then you drop out, and then you have to resummon them.
Well, no, it's because like if you're in the open world, obviously you can summon people, but as soon as you beat a boss, then everybody goes back to their world, and you just bring them back. So again, in that sense, it's just like the old games, Yeah,
see, Adam, the mechanic here is that it doesn't want you just run through the whole game with a friend, despite all that. And if you do, you absolutely can, but you need to help other players to do that. Like you have to help players to get the sign or to get the item, usually, to summon other players in yourself. Now, let's circumvent that by picking flowers, which I think is kind of stupid. But the whole point there is you're supposed to be co-oping, not just with your friend, but with everybody. Some people need some help here.
I played with randoms a lot.
So if you do a mission together and then it's over and you don't have enough resources, you can't bring them back.
You can. The flowers are all over the place. You just go to a spot and grind for them. It's very easy, And if you get invaded, you get another flower. So it's very easy. The game wants you to, encourages you. Despite what some of these people on Twitter say, the game encourages you to play co-op, Also, a game encourages you to use ashes, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, these people are complaining because they've just face rolled 35 times in a row, and now they're out of the item that they need. It's like, hey, here's an idea. Maybe help other people, see what they're doing, learn, and then come back with a few items. But the weird thing is the game clearly tells you through gameplay, like the Tree Sentinel, like, hey, you're not supposed to fight me. It doesn't need to tell you, and some people it just doesn't click with them. They don't get the lessons that the game's trying to teach.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to this next question. Still on Elden Ring, though. Oh, shit. Eurocard 9, man.
Who dat?
Interesting. All right. Did FromSoftware create their version of Monster Hunter World with Elden Ring? Meaning that if From creates another Souls game that's not open world, would it feel like you are not getting a complete modern Souls experience? This is a great fucking question. Like, can they go back? I don't think they can anymore.
No, I don't know if a lot of the Souls community I don't know if I can go back, man. Not after all this.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Games in development under that old format that are probably like shit. By the time our shit comes out, no one's gonna want to play it.
Yeah, no, but I understand the Monster Hunter because, like, speaking for me specifically, but I'm pretty sure I can speak for Carlos and Chris too. Like, bro, I can't go back to those old Monster Hunters after World. I try to play Rise. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'll wait for World 2. Can't go back. Go ahead, Carlos. My bad.
Because I was thinking about it, I'm like, okay, so we're probably gonna enjoy Elden Ring for the next 3, 4, 5 years, maybe more. And I'm thinking, just playing this game and seeing the attention to detail that this game has, I think that's probably one of, if not the most important thing about this game, the attention to detail the whole world gets, all the environments, all the different levels, the way they interconnect, everything. Just thinking about that and saying, wow, what Elden Ring 2 or whatever the new one's going to be called, that shit's going to take forever.
Yeah, no, you're right.
If it wants that same seal quality of approval seal kind of thing that Elden Ring has,
seal of approval, you know?
that Sealy seal of approval.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, real quick, I got to read this comment, unless you want to finish up what you're saying.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Yeah, this is from Ace Ali. Gets it. 100% gets it. He goes, people are gatekeeping these games are dummies. Souls games are best experienced with co-op, played however you like best. There are so many clowns who put up arbitrary goalposts. Thank you. I had people giving me shit because I use like, oh, to use ashes? I'm like, fuck yeah, use ashes. You're weak.
Game.
Like, it's in the game. Not only is it in the cheat code. Yeah, Adam, not only is it in the game, but there are bosses specifically tailored to give you these ashes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what
okay, hold on.
Want?
Here's the thing that's been coming up a lot, because we've been making fun of this every time we co-op play. The boss gets more aggressive with more damage reduction and a larger health pool for every person that you bring in. So if you bring in a friend and immediately they get one-shotted, the game is now more difficult than it would have been if you brought no friends.
Yeah, because the boss doesn't scale back down.
Yeah, remember that time we were playing Division? When Tony and I were just playing, we were like, oh, we'll fly through this. As soon as we got like Chris and then the voice of God, we're like, holy shit, why is it so hard? And it's just because they just ramp it up.
Yeah, exactly.
It's bullshit.
It's bullshit. We got to play with him, Elden Ring. You know he's on it, you know? He's like Chris, he's an old school Dark Demon Souls, player.
Yeah, but I just want to say, there's been so many times when I've been rolling around in somebody else's game on the verge of getting murdered, being like, but summoning is easy mode! Mm-hmm. Blam! Somebody fucking dies.
Yeah, also, Brett, the other one that's been very prominent now, if you use magic, it's easy mode.
Okay, here's the thing. No, it's not, because you're a glass cannon. It is high risk, high reward. In any PvP, you guys will learn this. You can just kind of walk and roll through, like, you don't even have to run. If somebody's shooting those soul arrows at you, just lightly weave. You're fine. Like, it is so easy to get through magic, and then you get up in the face of a caster, and you just burn them down. That's somebody who loves magic in the game. In all the Souls games, yeah, no, you are wildly vulnerable, especially during casts that lock you into an animation. Oh my god. If you shoot that Kamehameha and miss me, I will murder you. There's nothing you can do. I will be on top of you before anything. We don't have any poise, so you just slap them around a little bit, and then that's the end of that. So each kind of way that you play the game presents its own unique challenges. If you're a glass cannon, yeah, you really just burn things down. But if something looks at you cross, you just fall over dead. So, like, yeah, you can corpse drag your way through the game and then triumphantly Kamehameha a boss. That's one way you can do it. But that's the kind of the Souls experience. It's like, the core of the Souls experience is you play your way, even if it's broken. The game, it will completely even allow you to be like, you want to poison that boss and then hide behind a rock? It's a possible thing. Maybe you feel that that's good in the narrative. Maybe, like, you feel like this is some kind of, Odysseus-esque story where, you being clever and resourceful is part of the strength of your character. Nobody's going to tell you any better. You're allowed to break the game. And people have. But for the most part, yeah, you're allowed to do wildly stupid shit or break the game or play however you want.
And some enemies,
as long as it's in the game. As long as it's in the game. Just saying.
Absolutely.
Some bosses are better suited against different plane types and different attributes than others. You might be a mage and do really well on one boss, but there's going to be for sure another boss that's not going to be able to do it. I mean, I was playing Chris, remember I was playing, I was talking to you when I was beating this boss, what's his name? The one I said Unlimited Blade works for.
Radon? General Radon, yeah.
Oh, he's next for me. Oh boy.
That guy one-shot at me. Like, if I got hit by his arrow at the beginning, I'm dead.
Yeah, he's a guy where I took the tactic of summoning everyone on the field. There's all these NPCs you can summon. And I literally used Scarlet Rot spell on him and ran away. and just let everybody else attack him. And then when it was done, I picked every motherfucker back up. I righted him again, hit him, and ran away because this motherfucker was huge. When you get him to half health, he becomes a meteor. So it's ridiculous. So I use the tactic that Brett said. I'm going to poison you, and I'm going to back off. I'm going to wait till you're eaten down. I'm going to come back later.
What do they say? In Souls, a win is a win.
Damn right. Damn right. All right. That was a pretty easy one. Like, yeah, it will be a lesser experience if it's not open world. These games are going to be open world from now on. Guarantee. All right. Next question here. I believe this is the last. This is the last Elden Ring one. Very interesting. Kishak, who's been joining us tonight in the chat.
Yo.
All right. Does anyone else think that the lessons developers are going to learn from Elden Ring is that gamers want no HUD, no map markers, no quest logs, and a convoluted inventory system? It seems to me that FromSoftware decided, let's see how many features we can strip away from the open world genre and see if gamers still like it. Tell me how you really feel, bro. Here's the thing. They're not stripping anything. This is the same Souls experience we've always had. It's just in an open world.
That's what I was going to say. They didn't take away anything.
Didn't take nothing away.
You have the same interface. Yeah. This is the same exact thing.
I think the thing about it is also, it's also different stroke for different folks. If you want a guided experience, if you want the utmost of one of those sorts of AAA open world type of games, you go with your Horizons, you go with your your Witchers, you go with your
we've seen
Assassin's Creed.
Remember Red Dead Redemption 2 tried this. There was an option where you can turn off all of that stuff and just listen to the NPCs, and they will tell you, go down till you see a big rock and make a right. And
here's the problem with that, Adam. Most of the world wasn't designed without map markers in mind, and because it's again, we're talking about a design choice, right? So that's like saying, I don't know, like your favorite artist just draws Superman with a big chin, right? Like, well, no, it's a bunch of little things that tie together to build an experience, but it's this core idea of not hand holding that kind of goes with it. So, but in order to do so, when you strip away all that UI, you not only have to have incredible storytelling, right? But you also have to have really good visual flow and world building. Like, your world building has to be on point, and it has to naturally draw you to points of interest. I've tried turning off map markers as somebody who likes that stuff. I've tried turning off map markers. It's just a convoluted, frustrating mess because you can tell it's clearly not designed with you in mind. And that's when you start really paying super close attention to detail, and you notice a lot of this shit is just copy paste.
I mean, this game gives you a lot more than older Souls games. I mean, you have a compass, you have a map.
Oh, yeah.
No Souls games had a map.
Yeah, that's the first time. Yeah,
and you can put markers on it. So you have this. You put a temporary marker down, which puts up a giant beam of light. So when you go back in the world, you see the beam of light, and like, okay, I got to ride that way. Or you can turn it off and go, all right, this thing is northwest of where I need to go. So you use your compass, and you go, okay, I got to ride this way, and you go that way. This gives you as much as you need, but it's not overt like Ubisoft game where just throw things at you. You even have arrows like they go this way. No, this gives you enough where it's like you can easily navigate where you got to go. And if there's a cliff, hey, find your way around it. It's like, or maybe I didn't kill something I had to open up a path to get over there. You figure it out.
Yeah. By the way, shout out to Sir Rich a lot. He goes, I wonder if Elden Ring will be Throwdown Crew's Game of the Year. Who knows, man? It's possible.
There might be one person might throw a monkey wrench and all that because he didn't play it.
Well, the thing, you mean two.
It won't be a unanimous Game of the Year.
No, with Throwdown, if we get 5 out of 7, or 4 out of 7, that's unanimous enough. We can never agree on anything, Blackfeet goes, I might be in the minority here, but I enjoyed Breath of the Wild. LOL, minus the weapon fragility, but I also prefer Horizon Forbidden West storyline and gameplay as well. No, most people enjoy Breath of the Wild,
Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is, like, I think a lot of people need to understand that there is no right way to all of this, right? Exactly. Just because this, because a lot of people would believe that there is a certain way to do things. No, there isn't a certain way to do things. To be honest, a lot of when those trails have been walked over, yeah, there is a specific route that you can take, but that doesn't mean you need to follow that path all the time. So, well, I feel like with this sort of game and with any other sort of games, it's just the nth level of whatever solution they have come to, and I don't think that there's any right way. It's just about you, the player, what you think works best for you. And if and I understand there's a lot of people that feel like there's a big old door in the way of this thing. I would say a lot, at least for some people, it's like maybe that's not a game that works out for you. Maybe that the world of the more curated sort of play is more your type of thing, but don't feel bad about not being into that situation. For me, I'm not playing Elden Ring at this point in time. I'm very interested in a lot of aspects of it. I don't have the time to play it, but I'm not mad that I'm not along the ride with everybody else in here, and I'm sure yeah.
And Brian's gonna play it in 10 years, so
No, Brian's gonna play it when it comes onto PlayStation. When it comes onto PlayStation Plus, or or he might play the PC version that comes out eventually.
Oh no, I have zero interest in playing this game.
Okay. So there you go. See, different strokes for different folks. Obviously.
I will say something controversial.
Who are you?
Rich, you ready for this, man? Controversy.
Rich is like, you don't know what controversy is.
Yeah, Rich spews out controversial statements. So this game is definitely not my game of the year, because this game, it's a tough game. It creates an environment where you have to put a lot of thought into what you're doing. It takes you to places that are scary, that are deep, that are terrifying, that give you a lot of trauma. And there was one aspect of the game that relieved that. And it was at the round table where this lady gave you a hug.
Right.
And I that privilege was taken away from me, and I don't respect this game as much as I used to.
Oh.
So, I gotta say, in true Souls fashion, she was stealing your life, right?
Oh yeah, but I was liking it. And but obviously I'm joking, but yeah, this game I feel like this game added a lot more of things that they even added the fog of war that a lot of games use.
Yeah.
So this game got a lot of tropes from other games. I feel like it didn't strip out anything from the Souls games. I actually added more of the tropes. But they're fucking great, and they add a new dimension to the Souls franchise. And if they add different tropes like good co-op, I would appreciate that. Just don't add the tropes where the frame rate gets even worse and the pop-ins get even worse. Don't add those.
Yeah, Bloodborne has more horror than Elden Ring, Kashak, for sure.
That's until you go deep into the ground.
Okay, just the beginning of Bloodborne is already more horrific. Then you go to the second half, you're like, oh shit,
Tony.
Yeah.
My rebuttal, Caelid.
Oh yeah, no, that's fucking horrific. That's Bloodborne horrific. Yeah, you go there like, I think I'm in hell right now.
There's crow dogs and dog crows.
This is true.
No. This is, and I talked to the fellas before when we were playing the game earlier. Those fucking, and Chris knows about these. The fucking bear wolf things. Those are the most terrifying things in the fucking game. I don't care.
Oh God, yes.
They're scratching their backs on these huge ass trees. You're minding your own business. They start chasing you with a fucking quickness. There's no right or reason why these huge ass fucking beings that'll kill you with one fell swipe are as nimble as they are. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they move as fast as the small bears
from their mouth.
Yeah, it's like because of course they can.
No. The real of course they can is and they can sometimes disguise themselves as a low-level random soldier just standing around until you hit them.
Oh boy.
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
just
Oh,
gets
that,
worse.
yeah.
Like I thought that I was going insane because I kept telling these guys about like, nah, I swear to God, there was a soldier that turned into a bear. I mean, maybe I'm going crazy. Maybe something happened. Maybe it barked out. I don't know because I don't see how that could possibly happen. But I swear to fucking God, this guy turned into a bear.
You know
Oh,
what's
yeah.
one of the low key like most like hardest fucking enemies to kill or to fight, not to kill, to fight, is the fucking, you guys know when you teleport to Caelid for the first time, there's this teleporter that takes you there,
Yeah.
and you're in a fucking you're in a mine,
Oh god. Yep.
and there's these
Yeah.
motherfuckers that shoot these arrows or daggers or whatever. They shoot like a million and they would just
The
won't stop.
silverfish thing.
Yeah, you gotta
Yeah.
run. You gotta
Yes.
just
And they're
run.
Yeah.
they're homing
Yes.
missiles, like they
Yep.
track.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
those things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit is crazy. You know.
The worst, man.
Oh, one day I'm gonna go back there once I'm big and strong and show those guys
Yes.
what's up.
Eat your Wheaties, man. All right. So I guess I don't know if we answered the question. What wrong lessons will the gaming industry take from Elden Ring?
I mean, they'll take all of the things that it does, but not use them correctly. The only thing revolutionary about this is how well they put the pieces together. And so people are going to be like, yeah, so no UI, right? Well, I mean, yeah, if you build a landscape that, you know, directs them, sure. But, you know, they're going to take it and not know how to use it.
Well, I mean, there's two outcomes. Like either what Brett said, where they'll copy it badly, and have like this completely absentee UI, or I think with the salt we talked about on the last Throwdown coming from Ubisoft and these guys who worked on Horizon Zero Dawn, they're gonna try to go, okay, we need to go bigger, and we're gonna double down on our UI design and make the gaudiest fucking thing. Like the game is practically gonna have a moving walkway that just takes you where you need to go, right? Like they're gonna go nuts. Think, Dad, they don't know how to. This is how you do it.
This is how you
people are gonna
do
be like, "What the hell is this?"
I have the definitive answer.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
So the wrong lesson that could be taken away from this game is thinking that if you plaster in George R. Martin's name into your game, that it'll sell like this,
oh, damn.
or that it'll be good.
Yeah, right.
Because I have no clue what the hell he did. This is a Miyazaki game through and through. This is
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
No, Carlos,
they didn't pull a Nightmare Before Christmas with Tim Burton. You know, they didn't pull one of those.
no,
I mean,
no,
dude,
Carlos. Tony and I figured it out. It's the whole thing with fingers.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh.
That's it. I think that's his
I think that's
contribution.
it. I think yes.
I
fingers.
think I figured it out, right? So the big difference between this and a Miyazaki game is now the kind of factions that broke off are fighting. And I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you're like. Now all the houses have broken off and are fighting. Very original. And
Yeah.
you know, I don't know if necessary. I'm not sure if people will think that, like, you know, throwing Railroad on this is going to be the spice to success, because I'm pretty sure Game of Thrones proved otherwise pretty hard.
Yeah, look, all I'm saying is for Elden Ring 2, get Brandon Sanderson involved. Like, get,
Oh God, right? Please.
the man's a
again,
fan. He's a
get the
Kingsford
guy who does lectures wearing a Sunbro shirt. Get that guy. You know, the guy who's
Right,
been playing Kingsfield and shit. Like,
He
get
was
that
so
guy.
upset.
Yeah.
He finished the Wheel of Time books, for Christ's sake. Give the man the game.
Exactly. Like, come on. Like, yeah.
Nah, you gotta pick the guy with the bigger name, man.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's exactly why they picked him, because he has a bigger name.
I feel like you know with Miyazaki picking George R. R. Martin, it's just the fact that
He's a fan
of him, and it's just like, you know, imagine it's like Kojima. It's like, imagine if you had the ability to work with anybody you wanted to work with on the planet.
Yeah.
Right. So that's probably it.
See,
Like,
see, but the thing is, I would pick Brandon Sanderson for myself. That's a whole other story.
Again, like,
you know,
it's like sort of like, you know, he was a big fan of whatever the he was a friend of Norman Reedus. He knew Norman Reedus. He was a fan of this guy. That's why all of his buddies are in there. It's because he had the choice of
that's why he had Guillermo del Toro.
He had the choice as to who he wanted to have and work with in the game. Same thing with Miyazaki. It's like, yeah, man. He's like, hey, what if we got like that? You know, like he probably threw the idea. It's like, hey, what if we got that George R. R. Martin guy to do
The Game of
this?
Thrones guy.
Game of Thrones guy to do this. I really like that show. I really like those
Yeah.
books.
See, but the thing is, if Miyazaki was a real fan, he wouldn't have picked him because he wants George Martin to finish the books. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, maybe
That's a
maybe
true
he's
fan.
Yeah. I'm
maybe
like,
he's a fan. Maybe
if
he's
I was a
of the
fan, I'm like,
show.
no, let that motherfucker keep working. You know?
Let's be honest. He didn't take up much of Railroad's time.
Meanwhile, with Sanderson, it wouldn't even bother. This guy wrote 5 books during the pandemic just for fun. 5 books.
I remember when
insane.
George R. R. Martin said, by this date,
Yeah.
I want to have the
years
2020.
ago.
I want to have no. He's like, by this date 2020, I want to have.
He said that. Yeah.
And then literally on that day, I literally posted. So what happened to that book that you were talking about, homie?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, Brett.
Oh, George R. R. Martin writes one book every 5 years. Brandon Sanderson writes 5 books every 1 year.
Yeah. Okay. By the way, just correction. George Martin writes one book every 11 years.
Yeah, every
Yeah.
I was trying to
decade plus.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
and then Sanderson, he writes 2 books that are published a year, and then 5 books just cause. Like he's gonna release like 9 books next year because he wrote all these. He's like, I had nothing better to do, so I wrote. Martin, what's your excuse, bro? Just saying.
Yeah, it's not like he was all. It's not like he was all.
He literally said, "Oh, I've made more progress in the book because of the pandemic." I'm like, apparently not
really?
enough, you know. Anyway, that's a whole other story. Anyway, any final bad lessons that developers will take? I think the bad lesson will be like the same bad lesson that they've always taken from these games. Oh, make the game hard, make the game hard. It's not just about making it hard. That's why every one of these games always fails to me. It's about the balance. Like it's about challenging, not just it's just being brutal. But I think they're going to do that. So it's going to be no UI and ultra brutal. And I think we're going to see a lot of indie games do this shit.
Well, I mean, yeah. We're gonna probably see a lot more rings games or finger games.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's crazy.
Whoa.
Whoa.
We call it youngin ring finger or something like that. We'll see.
Shit, yeah, right. Youngling
ring finger.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's move on. All right, I think we're done with the we're done with the Elden Ring stuff. So let's move on here.
Thank you, folks. Right.
We're done with the show. I got to go to work tomorrow. Kishak, another one. Okay, what I think we were asked this before, but I don't know if we fully answered it. What will Xbox do if Game Pass fails?
Well, the idea
They have
is
developers. That's it. If it fails, then they still own all these developers, and then they just make money from that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like they officially have so many studios, so they if the Game Pass doesn't work, well, they have all these different companies that they can literally fall back in, and they can literally jump right back into the console space, a little more aggressively.
Yeah. Yeah, so because I think some people were saying, "Oh, if Xbox Game Pass fails, that Xbox doesn't." No, it's not. Xbox has a lot. All these studios, they're good.
They went so far in on this to prove that, because that's always been the thing, especially after the debacle of Xbox One's launch.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's no way they come back. So how do you prove it? Well, you throw all your chips in on the table, and that's what they did. Buying all these studios, this wasn't pocket change. This was a whole big money investments. This is long-term big money investments.
Yeah.
So if people think that if one little hiccup is going to knock them down, I mean, it doesn't look like that's the plan.
Yeah, and remember, I mean, Adam, you're right. It's the long game. They just bought these studios. We're not going to see the fruition of these games until 3 or 4 years from now. So, you got to just, again, they're playing the long game. You got to be patient with it.
They have more money than God.
Yeah, exactly. And who's backing up Xbox? Microsoft. All that money.
I think they're too big to fail.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Microsoft isn't going to cut off Xbox.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like a Kardashian.
I know some
right?
ponies would like that, but it's not going to happen.
They don't
Xbox
really want that, because then what? I wouldn't want Sony or Nintendo to fail. We need
no, the fanboys do. The fanboys
They don't. Yeah,
they're idiots.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Get
they don't.
up, and then they're stuck, and then there's nothing else they can do because there's nowhere else to go.
Yeah,
Hey, Tony.
They don't understand that essentially the competition is what breeds advancement. If there wasn't a Cold War, we wouldn't have had a lot of the advancements that we had in technology at
Or
that
wars in general, yeah.
time.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I would say, like, just like this, you know, I know you got, I know everybody sort of picked their sides and all that other silly stuff, but really that competition builds the future of things.
Yeah.
Watch if this again. Watch if this if Gamecast does start to do. You know, starts to do some real numbers and starts becoming profitable. Watch, you know, Sony try to do it.
It's already
Watch
gonna happen, you know.
Yeah, watch Sony try to really put more of an aggressive lean onto it. Watch Nintendo be like, "Oh, hey, shit, that's seem to work, doesn't it?"
Well, Nintendo will do that in like 15 years, you know. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
they'll do it.
Yeah.
They'll do it later. I mean, it's, you know, they only just got an HD console.
Exactly, barely. Brett, what's your question?
What's that?
You wanted to ask me something.
Oh, it's gone.
Oh well,
And it's gone.
and it's gone. All right. So yeah, Xbox, we're good. Xbox Game Pass, we're good. No worries there. All right. Moving on here. This is a new name. Got a couple of new names tonight, actually. So this
Who
is RPZ16. Welcome to Throwdown Your Questions. All right.
Yo.
The question is, why do people criticize Sony and PlayStation for not showing Japanese style games, but then get hypocritical when PlayStation shows Japanese games? They get mad.
Oh, well,
He's got a
to be
point there.
honest-
He's got a point there. You know.
Well, you know, the thing about you got to understand is that you're hearing two different portions of the same fan base. We're talking about a lot of the more Western centric people, and then we're talking about a lot of people that remember what PlayStation was sort of built on. So you're hearing it from two different sides.
Oh yeah,
I think
I
you're
remember
right.
now, Tony.
Oh, go ahead.
I just wanted to say, for all the people that are, wanting Xbox to die and would be happy to Xbox to die, I wanted to ask, how many of them do you think are too young to have actually seen Sega die? Because it's kind of pulling back to Railroad. It's kind of like that, where you're like, man, I wish people would kill characters in their shows more. And then cue Ned Stark dying, and your horrified reaction, you're like, that wasn't what I thought I wanted.
The problem is a lot of these guys are not young. They're our age, wanting this to happen. That's the sad
So like
part.
they've seen it happen. Like everything about Sega closing down was sad, even if you were a Nintendo fanboy. It was one of those like, yeah, you think it's going to be a party. It was not a party.
No, it was not. But again, they don't care about that. They just want the competition to die. They don't think that way. You know, they're not thinking about the health of the industry. They just want the rival to die. That's how stupid these people are.
Yeah, you can have a preferred console, and that's fine, but you want competition. You definitely want competition.
Look, think about it like this, right? I have to use this guy as an example. As I call him, Dr. Fanboy, right? Remember that fucking idiot? You know, he's like putting a patient under anesthesia, talk about, oh, I'm a real doctor. Look at me. Look at the patient, showing off the fucking patient's credentials and shit. So this guy, think about it. He's a doctor. He makes money, right? He could easily afford a PC or an Xbox or both, right? But he has console passion for PlayStation. So this guy doesn't care about Xbox. He cares about PlayStation. He would love to see Xbox Live, even though he could easily afford Xbox. That's how crazy these people are, you know? Mm-hmm. That's how insane it was. Like, back in the day, yes, I championed the system because that's the only one I could afford. You see me doing that shit now? No, because I own everything. I'm good. You know, but some people look at back in the day. I got to bring it back. Back in the day, we would talk shit about other consoles, and what would we do at the end of the day? Go to our friend's house and play them. Right now, these guys would be repelled by the other consoles. Like, oh, I will not play that. Fuck Xbox. Fuck PlayStation.
I guess we're not friends anymore.
Yeah, so that's how like the console. You know, the console wars have taken on another level, and social media has really elevated it to stupidity levels, man. So it's sad. So to answer your question, I don't know if I answered your question correctly, but yeah, these people, they genuinely want the competition to die. They don't care about the health industry. They just want their team to win. It's fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it, like, it's a. Why would you want a world where there was absolutely no choices?
That's what they want. They just want PlayStation. They just want Xbox. You know. I gotta say this, and I do not like this fucking community at all. You don't see Nintendo guys doing this shit. They don't want the death of PlayStation or Xbox. They're cool. They're playing their games.
Well, because they saw what happened when Sega died.
Yeah,
They're just
you're
like,
right.
No, that wasn't. Because here's the thing: it's like a game of football where if somebody wins,
they execute all the players and never play the game again.
Yeah.
Right? Like you're like, I don't really think that I want anybody to win. Like, how about we just call it a tie?
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it. Why do we have sports? Because, humans love war, but we want to keep seeing the same people over and over and over again.
You don't want to see, New England Patriots just die after the game. All right,
Yeah. Exactly. That's why we, because I always called sports sissy war. It's like, yeah, it's war where nobody dies, and because people want to see the same people, Anyway.
Well, even in the Coliseum, there was a whole documentary. So they purposely didn't kill them at the end. It's not like what we know, because then they wouldn't have anybody for the next game.
Yeah, they want the same gladiators coming back all the time. Yeah. And obviously, when they lose popularity, then
then you put them down.
Yeah. So yeah, but anyway, to answer the question, yeah, it's just like I'm with Manny. It's just two different sides of PlayStation, because nowadays you kind of have more of the Western centric gamers and then the old school guys. I remember the Japanese games, so they're kind of so it's not really that they're being hypocritical. It's just two sides of the fandom,
Yeah, it's not, because you got to remember that like with any fandom, there's always splinter cells.
Yo, boy.
There's always portions where one they're united on the fact that they have the same console of choice, but they're not united in the of the idea of all games with coming from them being great for them. They only see one side of it.
Yeah. No, you're right about that. But
personally, I want to see more of the Japanese games, and I want to see more examples of the Western sort of side, straying away from what what is considered the PlayStation formula.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. Let's move on here. Next question. This one is from One Subset. I believe he's been in the chat tonight. So shout out to you. All right, this one's funny. Why doesn't Capcom give us a real Dino Crisis remake like they did with Resident Evil instead of Exoprimal? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Capcom doesn't respect you.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe here's the thing. Like, there's a lot of factors that sort of jump into this. Maybe this game did start as a Dino Crisis game, but then they ended up straying so far from the Dino Crisis franchise that they decided to rename it. I mean, it's happened before with Capcom.
That's right.
Resident Evil 4 had a totally different version of itself, where essentially they just said, you know what, we've gotten too far with this. It's going to become a whole new game. It's Devil May Cry now.
Yep, that's exactly. So it could be this. It could be they tried it. They tried it, and then
Same thing with Gears from Unreal Tournament, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna add more side stories. Went through this," and I was like, "That's a whole other."
I like what Ace Ali said. It's hordes of the same dinosaur. It looks like a joke project. Remember, I asked them, we were watching this, I'm like, why the fuck are those dinosaurs just pouring out of that hole? What is going on here? Why aren't they dying? Because the hole opens up at like 100 feet off the ground. Like, those dinosaurs would just be crushed the instant they would splat to death the instant they hit the ground,
Yeah. So I feel like, rather than sully the Dino Crisis, whatever legacy the Dino Crisis franchise has, they just said, you know what, this is way too far off the mark. We're just making a whole new franchise with dinosaurs in it.
Yeah, because this looks like Earth Defense Force with dinosaurs, basically.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I also suspect that this game wasn't like a super high budget game.
I agree.
I think they're trying to sort of they were probably trying to capture that sort of MOBA sort of online everybody plays a different hero type of thing, and a lot of those games, despite what Destiny sort of tells you, or a couple of the other ones, how much money it takes, it doesn't really take that much to do that. So I feel like they're trying to dip their toe into this universe without having to blow off essentially spend a lot of money. And then also, again, like, I feel like it started as a Dino Crisis game, but then eventually they just said, you know what, why? It's like what happened with the game Nosgoth, right?
God.
Nosgoth, theoretically, if they would have just taken, because it's so far off.
It's like a Norwegian death metal band.
Well, Nosgoth is essentially connected to the Soul Reaver universe.
Yeah.
So rather than introduce a game that's so far off the mark, they should have just been done with all the Soul Reaver stuff and just renamed it fully. totally removed any sort of connection from it.
I think I'm gonna start a black metal band called Nosgoth. That'll be dope.
I mean, I'm sure there is a Norwegian.
There probably
death
is, yeah.
metal band.
Oh, yeah, Nosgoth.
With
Also,
their
to be
death
fair,
metal.
Manny,
Right there. Go ahead, Brian.
to be fair, Manny, Capcom already sullied the reputation of Dino Crisis with Dino
Yeah.
Crisis 3.
Oh, with the
I
card
mean,
game.
I mean,
No, they literally did, because
Yeah.
guess where it's set?
In the
What is
future.
the one place?
in the
In
future,
No,
space. In
space.
space.
No, in space. It was
Yes,
in space. Yes.
dinosaurs in space.
Yeah.
So it's like they already did that.
I also think that
Yeah,
I also
space
think
where
a-
franchises go to die.
I also think for a lot of the Dino Crisis thing, I don't think anybody was really supposed to take any of that stuff really seriously. And I think once it did really well, they really didn't know where to take it. There was no where else. I mean, you're gonna make more game about essentially, hey, another dinosaur mutant plant decided to went on to Fritz, and they're sending the same old lady to go and fix it. I feel like there was no real plan to it. I think they just had this sort of Resident Evil formula and sort of hey, let's dinosaurs are big right now because of Jurassic Park. Let's make a dinosaur Resident Evil.
Yeah. It's
Remember
crazy.
these older games, like with PlayStation era games and stuff like that. They didn't cost an insane amount of money, or PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 era games didn't cost the same amount of money that these big budget games now. So they're just like, all right, we'll just put out some more of the same. We're using the stuff we already have.
Yeah, for sure. All right, moving on here. This one also from one subset. Does anyone still want crossplay on For Honor at this point? I play the game, but I am not really interested. I don't even hear people talking about this shit anymore. I'm pretty sure it's
Is that
still
a
popular.
thing?
That one dude a few
There-
months back, remember?
Yeah,
Well, I mean, the thing about For Honor is that it's we may not be hearing it, but it's still a vital, title for somebody like Ubisoft. I mean, it's one of those. It's a success story because it started off as a piece of garbage, and then they kept putting at it and picking at it until they do it. Now crossplay. I mean,
I guess it's getting it. That's what I guess that's what's happening. It's getting crossplay. So he's asking, is it too little, too late at this point?
I mean, to be honest, I don't know. I mean, I feel like when you add a crossplay ability, they usually would probably want to add another DLC or something like that to make to get it into people's heads. Like, hey, we're doing this, and this. Oh, and by the way, crossplay.
Yeah,
I don't think crossplay on its own is a selling point that is enough to get people back into the saddle of playing a game again. I think the idea of adding something new on top of that will assist it.
yeah. I can't speak. That game's fucking boring, so I can't speak on it. It's nothing but multiplayer. It's like, this is stupid,
There's a type of fan base out for it, and they're still there playing it, right, while we're speaking about it right now. And I think, again, like like all things, you need to really put a bullet point right on top of that, and it can't just be one I would say minuscule addition to a game to get people back in. To get people back in, you got to give something. You got to put a big old poster on top of that. You got to put some name on top of that. If you notice, anytime Destiny did any of their big adjustments to any of their gameplay or anything like that, they put a giant poster and said the something king or the blah 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 blah. They literally put a big signpost on it. And I think that's the way you get people back into coming back to play that game again, who probably wanted to who may have just drifted off. You do a new DLC, and then you put a big old signpost. Hey, yeah, we got this. I mean, once Halo gets its multiplayer, they're going to put something on there on top of that. Not only just the multiplayer.
Co-op, it's that co-op that's missing.
Yeah, they're not only just going to put. They're not only just going to post the co-op. There's going to be something else on top of that.
Yeah. All right. I don't think we have anything more to say about For Honor. Okay. Who's up next? Oh, Bob Hits, who's been joining us tonight.
Mob hits.
All right. Interesting question. Has not having E3 been better for the gaming industry? Here's the thing: E3 didn't go away. It's just been digital. It's still there.
Yeah.
You know, so it didn't go away. It's still there.
I think I don't think it's bad. I mean, yeah, it hasn't gone away. It's still there, but I think now it's sort of splintered. Because of all the pandemic and all that stuff, it's sort of splintered. There's no one place where you can go and experience to see these things. Right now, everybody's got their own little specials and things that they show.
I guess the better way of framing the question would be: has E3's loss of influence hurt the game industry? And like you said, now instead of one place, 1 week where we get all these announcements, now it's over an entire summer of people, entities, whatever, doing their own thing.
I think as I sort of like having everything condensed because it feels like every single time that they do these sort of these mini events and things, there's really not much to them. They're all sort of weak.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But the thing is,
it feels like a lot of it is because they don't have a lot of those big sort of cornerstone things to show that you end up with a lot of filler. You look at any of the Sony ones, you look at the Microsoft ones, like they have some really cool stuff, but if you were to, a lot of it just seems like a lot of stuff filling the space because they just need to fill time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's because here's the thing: we can't go back to the way it used to be. Companies don't want to pay the ESA money,
No.
for the privilege of showing off games that they could just do on their own for like a fraction of the price,
Exactly.
So we're never going to go back to that ever again, unless the only thing is a new entity could come around, and I'm sorry, Summer Game Fest ain't it, because it's just half of the shit is commercials, so it has to be something new. Yeah,
it suffers from that the Keeley tinge, essentially, because they constantly want to spend pay the bills, so they're constantly switching to commercials every 2 seconds. Where again, it is hard to tell the difference between the commercials and the trailers for the things. It's essentially all advertising. It's a whole block of advertising.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna say I don't know if it gotten better or worse. It's just the way things were going like this even before the pandemic. Or E3 was already getting gutted. The writing was already on the wall. Because again, when companies were like, "Why the fuck should we pay them money when we could just do our own thing?" Yeah. But it does suck that it's not centralized. But that's just the way it is now.
Mm-hmm. Can't go back.
Can't go back. That's it. All right. Just like FromSoftware can't go back to non-open world games, E3 cannot go back. I think E3 is going to be done in a few years, to be honest. Something else needs to replace it.
People have been saying that for a while now.
Yeah, but I think really done.
I'm going to say this: unless E3 is able to get with the friggin' program and get some people in there that actually understand the industry instead of a bunch of dopes like the guy that they got there right now.
Yeah, that dude.
That guy is totally out of touch. He's not even like an industry professional. He's some dopey marketing guy. Who gives a shit about those guys?
Yeah,
you got to have somebody who understands the industry a little bit better than that to look at the environment and try to make the best decision for that. And I don't think that they're doing that. I think they're just looks like they're being like the mob and so trying to squeeze as much money out of the rest of the thing. Like, no, you got to be able to do. You got to do it another way. And I feel like with as much as we rag on the Keeley shows, at least Keeley's probably not is not charging any of those guys to be showcased.
I doubt it. Yeah,
he's paying paying for the space because he's got a bunch of advertisings in there. So you look at that, and then you look at the ESA, who's like, hey, no, yeah, hey, give us some money if you want to be on the floor.
Yeah, no, for sure. All right, moving on here. Also from Mob Hits. This is the test your mic bonus question. All right, with no concrete release dates for any upcoming games, has your level of hype been diminishing every month? For example, God of War Ragnarok. My hype level was already down when the year started, bro. This year is going to be, I think this year in gaming, and I'm talking about generally speaking, because everybody's going to go, oh, what about this game? What about that game? Now, I'm talking about as a whole. I think this year's going to be worse than last year. Last year was one of the worst game years in gaming. It was abysmal. There were some good titles, don't get me wrong, but as a whole, it was like, what the fuck are we doing here? And this is like the full year of like after the Rona and shit, because like it was like half of last year is when we started feeling the effects of it, and this is the first full year. So yeah, because every game has no release date. Every game's cross gen. Yeah, I'm not excited about this year. This year's gonna be fucking whack. So
it's an interesting thing when you have literally a launch of these new consoles, and then you really they can barely showcase the supposedly the new dealies that they got going on, and then they have the previous generation that they're tail ending on because of the fact of all of the things that have gone on since the Rona.
Yeah.
We have the shortages, we have all this stuff, we have shipment problems, we have all this garbage in the way, and then they're not allowed to advance and essentially give people a specific reason to go and drop some cash for a whole new console. Why do we all have to sit on a fucking virtual line just to buy something that is just supposed to be at the local electronic stores or on Amazon?
Because they can't manufacture them, man.
Because they can't manufacture, so they have to gate gate these things. How about we just fuck it? Don't care. You know what? Just because obviously, even for me right now, like there is nothing. All the games that I'm excited for are all coming for the previous thing. So I don't need to go out I have plenty of money. I can go and get one of them. I can go out, but I mean, like, why should I do it right now when there's nothing that I'm chomping at the bit to play and really show me why I need to have this thing over the other one, other than negligible things like frame rates and stuff like that. To be honest, I'm not Digital Foundry. I'm like, okay, game runs at 30 frames per second, whatever.
Yeah. Again, I already knew the chat was not going to like my comment there. There are like so many games came out this year. What came out, man? Horizon Forbidden West and Elden Ring. Like, I know and I guess I should preface it with me. I'm talking about myself right now. GT7, I don't give a fuck about GT7.
This wrestling game just came out and it's solid.
Sifu, I have Sifu. Somebody's thankfully sent me a code because I'm not going to pay for that. But it's like, I don't give a fuck about that.
Again, we're talking like 90.
But again, just generally speaking,
Tiny Wonderland that's coming out. I'm hyped for that.
Number one,
the only game I'm hyped for is the Ninja Turtles game. That's it. That's all I care about.
And again, a game that doesn't need to be played on a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X.
Yeah, I mean that's a whole other conversation. You don't need a PS5. I still maintain that.
Again, like you can okay, what games came out this year? He's talking about the games we're talking about for the specific new console. Yes, there's plenty of games that have come out. So are we to say that? So I'm going to ask this to the chat. Why did you get your PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series X when 90% of the things that you're playing on there are only getting light adjustments, light fixes to the experience?
All right, I'll read all those answers when they come in.
There's
still questions. We ask you questions sometimes too.
Again, it's like it's like what justifies your play? Well, you're going to get a couple of frame rates and maybe so the floor is shiny enough to reflect the ceiling. Come on.
Well, it's a big jump. We've talked about it. It's a big jump from 30 to 60, or even to 120. From 30 to 120.
These consoles cannot serve. They cannot serve up what they're advertising. Half these things can barely do 4K. Most of these games, you have to pick one mode or the other, so they can't do one without the other. So what's like if you're essentially getting what you're going to get on a PlayStation, was it a PlayStation Pro? With maybe a little bit of an upscaled some upscaling or some trickery going on. What's the reason to own this besides your Ratchet and Clanks?
Yeah, so Ace Ali says, I wanted to be ready for whatever comes to PlayStation 5. Demon Souls was worth it for me alone, and loading times are already things I won't ever go back to. That's what he says. Mighty Nerd says to play games on a quiet system. And Logic Wind goes, I only had a Switch prior to getting a Series X. For me, the jump was huge.
Okay, so you made a legitimate investment into this thing because this was your first of these sort of newer things. Okay.
Yeah, Kishak goes, I feel like PlayStation and Xbox should say fuck you to all last gen players and make everything current gen only, but they'll never do that. I'm not going to say the fuck you part, but I agree, Mike. Can we
I
just
think
get.
they would have if we didn't have the shortage.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I think
going
yeah.
to be a year
this,
pass.
what's artificially elongating the the 4 and the X generation is the fact that you can't buy those previous things. Well, granted, Microsoft has the one ace in the hole with their second console, the S version, is actually cheaper, and they can get those things out quicker than they can actually get the big boy.
Remember, a lot of people forget the reason why the 360 PS3 generation was so long is because we were going through a recession.
Yes.
And they knew it was like, well, they don't have people just don't have money to say, oh, we're here, go buy a new console, all new controllers and all that. So they just elongated the whole thing.
Yeah. By the way, Blitz also do make it. He says the reason is I had the money, I have a great entertainment setup, and why not? I want to play the best versions of these games because I can.
There you go. I get it.
But I mean, was the fact that it's the best versions of those games that you can, but at the same time, it's all behind a lot of trickery that's not really able to fully offer what they're advertising. You're not going to get off 60. You can either have a 60 frames per second experience, or you can have a 30 frames per second version with.
That's not for all games. That's not for all games.
That's not even for all games.
Like for FIFA has everything, and there's a few other sport games and a few other games, Tony Hawk and some other things. Maybe they're not the huge titles, but it's all in one. You don't have to switch. You don't have to choose one or the other. And, there are some games that do that, and it sucks because you would think for the next gen they would just all be built in, but it looks like they still can't do it. It's like, oh, you want ray tracing? You got to go and switch it for this. You want better frame rate? Switch to that. Like, that was the whole thing with the Cyberpunk, the new one. It was like, oh, we finally got the next gen version, and that's great. But then once I booted up, I get that prompt. I was like, all right, you're going to be running on performance unless you want to switch it. I was like, so you just can't do it all.
So can't get it all. So, I mean... maybe I'll be more impressed with these things when they actually start getting, putting their money on the table and really doing this. But at the same time, I'm just like, I'm like, I guess I come from an era where, again, like I don't have the most advanced TV out there. I just have a PlayStation, have a 1080p television, and it's fine for me at this point in time. I don't feel like I needed to get any clearer than it needs to get. So like. Do I care about the 4K ability? No. I mean, but can you offer me can it even offer me a 1080p experience with the 60 frame per second and all that stuff with all that stuff, and it can't even do that.
Yeah, but as far as the games, yeah, I'm again, I'm not that hyped. Again, Turtles is going to be dope. Obviously, Ragnarok is going to be fucking legit, but we don't even know if that's coming this year. But remember, they said it was going to come last year. I don't trust any of these fucking release dates anymore. After this shit, I don't trust none of this stuff.
We're all behind delays and all kinds of other stuff. It's just, I just think, we're not going to really see a lot of this come to fruition when PlayStation and Xbox are able to legitimately get, these consoles into stores at a regular basis. And that's I feel that is the moment when all the rest of the non in the know gaming community will start getting into it. And I think that's when we're going to start really seeing the sort of seeing some megatons. But again, how long is this what is this reset, what is this chip shortage thing, this stuff mean? How can we get this solved?
Time, that's the only thing. We just got to wait it out, unfortunately. Did Tony get the OLED switch? I'm not wasting my fucking money on that shit.
Why got it? I like it.
You got to understand, I don't play the Switch in handheld mode. I play it on my TV, and that's also the reason why I stopped playing it, because it looks terrible on a 4K. But I don't play it in handheld, so I don't need the OLED version. But and I've said this before, right? I got the PS5 day one, and I'm the motherfucker with a 4K TV. I like getting the new fanciest shit because I got the money for it. But I'll be the first guy to tell you don't need this system. I'll be the first guy. And again, I own the system. I like it. I prefer playing this on a PlayStation than a PlayStation 4. If I have a PS5, I'm playing games on a PS5. But objectively speaking, you don't need this system right now. You don't. You can play Horizon, you can play Elden Ring on your PS4. You know, and the reason I say this is because because I see people that get upset like, I can't get a PS5, I want to play Elden Ring. Like, you can play Elden Ring, you can play Horizon, it's cool. And I will implore you, when you get that, when you can, buy that PS5 because it's fucking amazing. You know, like, and Manny, I know, I understand where you're coming from. Where like you say it's minimal upgrades, but to some people those upgrades mean a lot. You know, so I would say play your games on your PlayStation 4 because you can't even buy a PS5 and then upgrade. I will definitely implore upgrade because the PS5 is legit. But again, I'm just trying to be objective. You do not need it at this point. You know,
frame rates, and consistent frame rates and frame pacing has never been a thing that never been a thing that I consider the top of like an issue, because half the time a lot of those things, unless Digital Foundry puts a little line or something like that, I barely see any of that stuff. So if I feel that the experience is worth getting, then I'll do it. But I don't. It's not. Load times have never been an issue to me. Like a lot of this stuff, it's just more stuff.
Even on your computer, you're not gonna see like the 4K experience that they're showing because they're the way. So when you go to let's say Tony's house, do you notice it? Like when you see him,
I notice it, but I mean, it just looks brighter. It just looks brighter, and then
HDR, baby.
It just looks brighter. And to be honest, I think it's too bright.
That's HDR. It's
to be honest, I think it's absolutely too bright. If anything, I would probably turn that shit down because it's like especially when you're watching it in a darker room. I'd turn that thing down. Drop that exposure. Yeah. But
meanwhile, now when I watch movies that are not HDR, I'm like, why is this shit so fucking dim? You know, because I want that shit searing into my eyes. You know, HDR is fucking. That's a bigger game changer than 60 frames a second, man. That looks so fucking good because it's not just the brightness and the blacks; it's the colors too. They pop more. You know, but obviously you got to set your TV right because you don't want it to be too garish. You know.
Yeah. Like a lot of that stuff that doesn't really concern me that much. As long as I'm getting a decent enough experience, or it looks as good to my eye, as far as it goes, I don't need the knowledge of knowing how many frames the damn thing is running or how many frames it's skipping or any like. But I think a lot of times people let that get in the way of their experience. You just it is what it is. It's there, you got to load. Okay, you got to load. That's fine.
Yeah. I'm that fucking idiot too. And when I play PC games, I got to have the counter there. I want to see those frames. Got to know the frames,
Again, it becomes it's like putting the time on the screen. You'll always constantly keep looking at the time because it's there. And I feel like, to me, like that's not, I don't need to have the numbers there.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, man. Let's move on. Next question here. Oh, hold on. I didn't get the next one ready. Just a couple more before we wrap up for tonight.
Wrap it up, B.
Yeah. Oh, Tumeke. Got a question here. All right. With the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection coming, a Cowabunga collection, what other series would you like to see get a collection like this? He goes, I want a Metroid collection that covers all the 2D games on Nintendo, Game Boy, and SNES. That collection would include save states and rewind plus design art. I kind of feel like we've answered this in a way, but again, I'll say my usual answer. I need that Capcom Marvel collection. X-Men Children of the Atom, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I need all that shit in one package. And that's why I was so salty about I call it the Darkstalkers collection. Let's just be honest here. 5 fucking Darkstalkers games, and they have the gall to say this is the arcade collection. Get that shit out of here. You're missing half your fucking games. Yeah. So that,
and I mean, yeah. So and then they have a puzzle fighter in there.
That's not a fighting game, man. I love me some Puzzle Fighter. Man, remember we used to play that shit all the time back in the day, right? Love the game. It's not a fighting game. Should not be on a fighting game collection. Fuck out of here with that shit.
Is Gem Fighters on there, right?
Yeah, that's a fighting game. That's fine. But where my Marvel games? And I don't want to hear bullshit like, oh, there's licensing, because they just released a fucking arcade with all those games on it. You know
Well, I mean, it's not. It is the licensing because
what?
it's
How did they
about
release the arcade game then with all those
the
games on it?
license. That is a license between that company. So in other words, it's them getting the license from Marvel and them getting them getting the license from the license to produce the game from Capcom. That's not through Capcom itself. So
Yeah,
that's
no,
why
I see what you're saying.
that's why
And
some
then you got to
that's
get
why
through
some
Sony and Microsoft and yeah. I got you.
Yes, there's a
Gotcha.
lot more involved in doing something like to essentially putting out a game than doing one of those arcade machines. Again, when those external arcade machines do that sort of stuff, they have to get the rights from multiple locations in order to make those sorts of things happen.
Yeah, it's just interesting that like the big guys aren't making that happen, but I don't know.
Well, the thing about it is that they also you also got to look at the arcade market. Is that also those things are also for a smaller market of people who have a decent amount of money. How much do those things cost? They cost a pretty penny.
Yeah.
They're a lot
From
of
the
money.
arcade one-up ones that they're releasing.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Oh
'Cause
yeah,
all
it's
these
like
games I
700,
want are
$800
there. They
Yeah.
have them
Yeah,
already.
Color Ink
Yeah, so
sent them over.
you're talking about
Ridiculous.
you're talking about a smaller market, and you're talking about a lot of money to get into that sort of market. So I think like with wide releases, you get a lot. You have to do a lot more of legwork. You have to make sure licensing works. You have to make sure of how much the licensing, what they're, who especially if it's for some place like a Marvel who's high in the hog, their licensing amount is a lot of money, and it may they want to guarantee that they make the money back from the sales of the game to cover whatever licensing fee that Marvel has.
Yeah. Anyway,
So,
what other collections? I mean, we already got a bunch of them. We got the Castlevania collection. Metroid one would be good.
We had the Contra one.
Yeah,
I
we had the
would have said
Contra one.
Contra, but that we already got that one. So.
yeah, the Contra one is out already. So
We had the Mega Man collections. Those were
And they
really
split.
good.
They split them up. Yeah, that was split those up. We've had I think a Bomberman. I could have swore there was a Bomberman collection.
I mean,
Mega
we had the Mega Man, we had the Castlevania. I mean, the other
I mean, there's the Sega Genesis
Yeah, we have
collection.
that as
the
well.
Sega Genesis
Man. That was
collection.
the best one. I love that one. They had the Streets of Rage 1, 2, 3. Oh,
Yeah, they had
yeah,
them. Yeah, they had
So
three in
yeah,
there. It has all the Sonic games and shit. So
except for 3.
no, well, they re-put it back in there.
Oh, they did.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's interesting because that collection has been around for since the PS 2 era, probably even before that. They've had this collection. This was the first one where they didn't have Sonic 3, but now they put it back in there as a patch.
Well, the one thing about Sonic 3 is it has certain issues.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, so
Doesn't it
And
have
that's music.
the Michael Jackson?
Yeah, it's the music issues where
Yeah.
essentially the music in there is essentially a lot of it it was done by Michael Jackson, and it was not credited to him because he asked for it not to be credited to him.
yeah. I remember I don't think it didn't have Sonic 3, but I remember the first Sega collection I bought was on Dreamcast. That was fucking terrible. The emulation on that was abysmal. But the one on PS2 was good. And PS3 had it. Obviously, you got the platinum in that one. PS4 had it, but that's the one that was missing Sonic 3. And then the PC version had it as well. But yeah, those collections have been around forever. All right. Yeah, go ahead.
One thing about those it'd be interesting to see a whole. They never done a Sonic collection, had they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they have.
I don't think so. I mean, I think that if they did put one out, they didn't include Sonic CD and a bunch of other things. I remember. I don't know.
No, they've done Sonic collections, But I remember there was one that was missing Sonic CD. I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing here? Okay, this is the last one. Sega announces a new Sonic collection with Sonic 3 and Knuckles.
Okay.
But so they've had these. So this one's gonna have the original Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic 2, 3, Sonic and Knuckles, and Sonic CD. Thank you. You finally got it right.
There you go.
Yeah, because the original one they had, not the original, they've had a bunch of Sonic collections. They always miss CD. I'm like, you're missing the best Sonic game. What the fuck are you doing?
You missed the best Sonic game.
Yeah, you are. Sonic CD is the best one. All right. So next up here we have, another new name. The Great Chop. Very cool name. All right. This one's kind of interesting. Is the PlayStation 3 The best PlayStation system. He goes, I've been buying the collections up since I don't see them being re-released, especially the Metal Gear Solid Legacy collection. So yeah, what do we think about the PS3? I'm going to say right now, no, it's definitely not the best PlayStation.
No, I wouldn't say it's the best PlayStation.
I would not. But then, hold on, let's back off. Because if we say that, then we have to say the PS4 version is better. That the PS4 is better than PS3. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far.
Why would you have to say PlayStation 4? Why couldn't you say PlayStation 2?
No. If you say the PS3 is like not the best, that means the PS4 is better than the PS3. And I'm not willing to go that far.
Well, I mean, that doesn't. I mean, the thing about it is that, like, then we're getting into listings.
Well, I think that's kind of what it is. By the way, it goes without saying the PS2 is the best one. Oh God. Yo, Carlos, you there, man? I think he's gone. No. Actually, wait. Why am I talking about worse? I think I went to a weird place. The PS2 is the best one, but what's the worst one? I think I may have to say PS4. I think so. I think I may have to say PS4 is the worst PlayStation. Just in terms of games, like PS3, it was still recognizable as what came before. And we had those, conversations on this show many, many times about how disappointing last generation was. That was PS4, right? I need to roll this one over, but yeah, I think the PS4 may be the most disappointing.
Well, I agree because it was the start of the half gen.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it obviously PS4 wasn't ready, and neither was the Xbox One. They just rushed these consoles to market. They got a half gen refresh that didn't really help too much. I mean, hell, even Cerny himself made fun of the PS4 Pro, saying if you stuck an SSD in there, you get a 30% improvement. Remember when he was doing the whole Spider-Man demo and talking about PS5 and
That's
everything?
Right.
He bashed it, and he wasn't wrong. The last gen was just underpowered. It wasn't ready. It was rushed to market, and we said this when PS4 came out. The PS3 could have lasted another year, and we would have been fine if they had just revised the systems to be, I mean, essentially PS4 Pro. That's what we should have gotten from the beginning, but we didn't.
Yeah, and also the PS3 era, and I'm also going to throw in Xbox. What I still argue was the last generation where we saw a big, significant leap, right? Going from SD to HD was fucking crazy, right? But then when you got to PS3 to PS4, you're like, oh, okay. Then you went to PS4 to PS5, you're like, it's getting less every generation. Obviously, again, PS2 is the best one, but PS3 was really, really good. It was a good generation.
I think it's been a steady decline.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Whereas I feel like 2 was PlayStation was Sony or PlayStation at the top of their game. I feel like 3 was essentially a step downward from that, especially the way they started.
Yeah,
which was horrible. I feel like they managed to upswing themselves, but I feel like they were also not able to keep that same, and I feel like they also tried to keep that same sort of momentum into the 4, but I also think that the 4 is just, I don't think it raised the bar as much.
No, it did not.
I don't think I mean, here's the thing, we're talking about perception and not about numbers.
PS4 obviously outsold the PS3.
Outsold the PlayStation 3, and it did amazing. It did better than the 4 than the 2.
Yeah,
but I feel like at the 2 point we were getting.
Well, remember the PS2 is still the best selling console.
I thought it reached their numbers.
No, not yet. I don't think anything's, because I think PlayStation 2. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's still the best selling console period in history. So it's not there yet. Even the Switch is not there yet,
Yeah, you're right.
And
the PS4 is by far the worst.
Yeah. See, thank you, Carlos. I knew you would agree with me.
But I think the thing about what I feel like also when it comes to perspective, a lot of people that are younger, who didn't play the PS1 and PS2.
You grow up with
So obviously for them, they could probably objectively see the 4 era or the 3 era as the better era.
Subjectively.
subjectively because of what was their first, right? What was their thing that did it for them? And I mean, if your story started at that point in time, yeah, it might seem like it's the best. It's the best for what it is, especially when you compare what has come after.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, PS3 was
But
not the best, but it was a good system.
But the one thing to say about the PlayStation 3, and if you got an old school PlayStation 3, you essentially have access to all the stuff that has come before, as well as things that have come after.
Yeah.
At least come after on the 3.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, it's got that backwards compatibility.
Got that backward compat.
It's got the memory card slots.
Yeah, it's got those memory
Yo,
cards.
yo, and it's got that Blu-ray.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's got a
Blu-ray.
which is still the best console Blu-ray player to date because of a lot of the new consoles. Well, with the exception of Xbox, they're actually their Blu-ray player for I'm pointing at Carlos's screen, but I'm probably
You gotta point the other way.
I gotta do this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Now, the Xbox One X Blu-ray player is actually very good on that. Console.
That's a Series X, but yeah.
The Series X, excuse me. It's Series X, yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Series X. Yeah, and the Series X is actually the better of the Blu-ray players. But if you're looking for a good, a good older, a Blu-ray player, I still rock my PlayStation 3 to play old Blu-rays on it. So
there you go, man. All right. This is kind of the last question because we do have two from Assyrian Air Force, but we've kind of already answered these. But we'll just go over them real quick. Assyrian Air Force, with the chip shortage still going on, will this generation of consoles last longer than usual? Yes, we've said this before.
Yeah,
it absolutely will.
Unfortunately, unless they somehow manage to unless somebody figures how to recycle all these rare earths that are for all technology. Maybe we need to start learning how to do that.
We need to go mine them from fucking asteroids, man. Plenty of them.
Mine them for asteroids, or maybe
Elon, what's up?
Maybe block a certain country from essentially ransoming certain sort of elements from other countries. Just saying.
Yeah. All right. So that's that question. And then the last one is. Oh
You're
man.
Canadians.
The last question is: what do you guys make of Michael Pachter saying that in 10 years PlayStation will no longer exist? My answer is: listen to the Thursday show.
Yep, it's on the Thursday show. That was one of our topics.
Yep, that was one of the topics, bro. You guys listen, man. I thought you guys were real fans of Throwdown, man. What's up?
I mean, some people, maybe some people they're off on the weekends. They don't want to be listening to us ramming around on stuff. So when Monday comes, they'll be like, "Man, I'm gonna listen to my Throwdown and my Throwdown Your Questions right after."
Yeah, that is true. So yeah, so there you go. You got your answer right there, fully detailed. Michael Pachter. He's not being he has two faces. He's either Captain Obvious or he's just wrong. Like there's no in between with this guy.
I mean, his name is Michael Pachter, not Nostradamus.
But shout out, but he's a good guy though. He's a good guy.
Even Nostradamus even Nostradamus was wrong.
Yeah, right. All right, man. Okay, I think that's it for us, man. Does anybody have anything to plug around here?
What do I got? I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out. But I got things.
Yeah.
There's things coming out. It's cool.
Yeah. Adam, what's going on with I Am Negan?
Oh, we got another episode coming. We'll probably record tomorrow. For episode 13 for season 11. So if you're into Walking Dead, we got that. And also for the Coalition, we just revamped our Instagram.
Oh, so shit.
You will see a bunch of changes, and some of them are already live now. So if you're into the Instagram, you're going to see all kinds of stuff going up on there. So
the
nuke.
You're going to see the nuke going up.
Everything's going to be in a square aspect ratio.
Yeah, you're going to see it. So, yep, that's good. It's good. And, so we got that and a few more game reviews. My 2K 22 WWE 2K22 review is up. That's great. A lot of people enjoying that because the game finally, lived up to the hype. We've seen a lot of games that, and it just showed they need that extra time and that kick in the pants. So let's just see if the sales represent that. Because if not, that's it. EA's in.
They needed to show EA that they can't rush this shit. They can't just be running. Essentially. Run. Jump on the wall. So everything is all running. They need to, grind a little bit. Get it good.
So it's good.
Did
It
he
works.
get good?
It works.
Get
Is it
good, man.
Is it good?
I know that's gatekeeping, but they have to get good.
Oh.
Oh, good.
And so yeah, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. No, I am Negan. If you're interested.
All that
You
stuff.
gotta fail first before you can fly, man.
That's right. All right, man. So we are done here. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. As always, you guys are the best. So make sure you follow Throwdown on Twitch and Twitter, and on Discord with Mob Hits, who's been joining us tonight. We'll drop all the latest rumors. I think he's already dropping rumors in the chat right now. Like, what rumors are you talking about? Yeah, find us on any podcast app, Throwdown Show. We're literally everything. Adam said, Spotify, Amazon, we're on there, Apple. And also, if you guys can leave us reviews, that'd be really appreciated, because when you do that, it gets us noticed. So make sure, if you're on Spotify, you're on Google Play or whatever, Google Podcasts, I should say, everywhere. All the big stuff, we're on it, So make sure you leave your reviews, Make sure you give us 5 stars, Visit throwdownshow.com to listen to past episodes. That's our audio boom page right there. Also, you'll see links to all the places we have our podcasts, which is always cool. YouTube, if you enjoyed the content, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified. We do the YouTube premieres on Monday and Friday at 10:45 p.m. Eastern. And as always, we tell you to subscribe after the fact. We're not going to tell you up front. Too many YouTubers out there, so make sure you smash the like button. I'm like, I don't know you,
Yeah,
So annoying.
smash it if you like, and also if you're going to be listening,
Yeah.
By
the way, don't smash. You're gonna break your shit. Just click. Click.
They don't do it at the end because they don't know if people are gonna watch all the way through. Well, then your shit isn't legit. Then no one gives a shit. If I watch all the way through, I give the like, because I'm like, caught my attention the entire time. So it's like, don't tell me right at the beginning, I'm going to be talking about this. Now, remember, smash that like, give me thumbs up. I was like, I'll give you a middle finger.
And click off,
Yeah, I mean, again, and then also if you want to go through all of this again, some of us like to hang out in the premiere. I'm usually in there hanging out, saying what's up.
Yeah, so. There you go. So make sure you hang out. And links to everything that we just mentioned down below. Once again, our show host Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Emilio Lopez.
See you next time.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, take care, everyone.
Carlos Romero.
Next episode might sound a little different.
Oh, you may hear some fucking police sirens in the background.
That's
the sound that I mean.
The 5-0.
Adam Vale.
Have a good week, everybody.
Brett Murdoch. It's been real, party people.
Deuces.
There he is. And Brian Manjoma.
Can't wait to hear what type of crazy stuff happens next week.
Oh God, I don't want it, Brian. I don't want it. Oh man. All right, people. We'll see you on Thursday. Later.
Later, guys.
Party people.
Peace.
Party people.